Tonight, cleaning up Sydney's crims. Major police raids across Sydney target the gangs behind several deadly shootings, netting guns, knives and drugs. An early September tempest as wild winds smash homes across Sydney, running emergency workers off their feet. A man faces a murder charge accused of killing his father at Barara Heights in Sydney's north. Why big pay rises for teachers could spark a crisis in the childcare sector. The display for Ben Roberts-Smith at the Australian War Memorial is updated to include the findings of the federal court and how the royal family is honouring Queen Elizabeth on the first anniversary of her death.
This is 10 News First, Sydney, with Hugh Rimmond.
Good evening. First up tonight, police are tonight claiming they have prevented at least 3 gangland murders through a series of raids across Sydney. They've made a massive haul of guns, drugs, cash, jewellery and fake rego plates. 9 people have been arrested on multiple charges. Police swooped on homes in Orchard Hills, South Penrith, Quakers Hill, Dundas Valley, Auburn, Villawood, Greystanes, Greenacre and Voyager Point.
It's the wake-up criminals have been warned to expect.
Police! Search warrant! Open the door!
A 6 a.m. knock at the door which 9 people have heard this week. The 2 women and 7 men have been charged as part of investigations by Police Task Force Magnus, set up 5 weeks ago to stamp out gangland violence.
We are certainly gaining closer to the centre of gravity around those people that were have been driving some of those crimes.
In just 5 days in July, 5 people were shot across southwestern Sydney, one of those victims being criminal defence lawyer Mahmoud Abbas. The latest arrests include Asmahan Zahed, the sister of former bikie boss Tarek Zahed, who survived a hit on his own life last year when his brother Omar was killed. However, the 9 newly arrested are not charged over any shootings, instead facing allegations such as breaching bail and drug or weapon possession.
We have to peel back the outer layers to get to the centre as to who's organised these jobs.
$45,000 in cash, firearms, jewellery, watches and drugs have also been seized. Despite the gun violence Sydney has seen in the last 18 months, police believe they've prevented 7 homicides, and in the last month or so, 33 firearms have been seized. Police are confident these latest raids will help prevent other crimes, recovering a laptop which investigators believe was being used to create fake number plates to mask stolen cars.
Stolen motor vehicles using clone number plates are the trademark of organised crime.
Organised crime police are determined to stop. Alice Hogg for 10 News First.
Strong winds have battered Sydney, sending trees toppling and damaging homes right across the city from north to south. While the weather has calmed a little this afternoon, the SES says it is a reminder for people to prepare their properties ahead of storm season.
A tall tree towers over this French's Forest home, the only one remaining after its neighbour was uprooted by strong winds, its trunk toppling onto a couple's garage, metres from their bedroom.
It was hectic. It happened so fast. It was really loud, and I'm just lucky we were out of the house and that it wasn't 2 metres from where we were sleeping.
Lyndall Casero and Brendan Buckton were woken around 1 by howling winds. A CCTV camera on their garage capturing the moment it came crumbling down.
I was on the roof looking at the trees, blowing in the wind, going, well, this could be something, and I did get off in time, which was probably the smart thing. Yeah, it wasn't my brightest idea.
The car was all right, but the garage was home to some of their wedding decorations ahead of their nuptials next month.
Some decorations and stuff that he had built, so nothing important like the dress or other stuff, so it's all right.
In the past 24 hours, SES New South Wales has received nearly 200 calls for help. Almost 50 came from Sydney.
We have amazing volunteers. There's about 150 of them currently out in the field.
The SES says storm season traditionally runs from September through to March, so we can expect to see more damage like this in the coming months. It's urging property owners to get prepared as best they can. While it was a wet start to the day in Sydney, it was Thredbo that recorded the strongest winds, perhaps a commiseration prize after a poor snow season.
There was very strong winds overnight. There was 142 kilometres recorded at Thredbo.
And while the sunny skies have re-emerged across Sydney this afternoon, the message: make hay while the sun shines and get ready before the next one rolls in. Paris Martin for 10 News First.
Well, our meteorologist Josh Holt joins me now in the studio. And Josh, we've seen an impressive lightning show across the state.
Look, we certainly have, Hugh. Close to 250,000 lightning strikes were recorded within an 800-kilometre radius of Bourke. You can see the weather system here, the frontal system itself, or the boundary, starting to move out into the Tasman Sea. In behind it, all that speckled or cellular cloud, if you like, representing that very cold Antarctic air. You can see here the extent of the rain on the radar extending from the northwest of the state all the way through to the southeast. That did include parts of Sydney, as these winds also picked up. We heard that gust recorded at Thredbo at 143 kilometres per hour. That's the equivalent of a Category 2 tropical cyclone. We also saw 10 millimetres fall into the rain gauge through Sydney's east, Rose Bay picking that up when you include to 9 a.m. and after 9 a.m. The other feature with that cold air in behind the frontal system, yes, the winds will still be a problem tonight and severe weather warnings are still in place, but the snow line due to that cold air is going to dip down to around about 800 metres, and we could even see a few flakes tonight fall across the central tablelands of New South Wales during the month of September. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. We're also in for a coolish weekend, Hugh. All those details coming up 5 to 6.
Some good news would be nice. Thanks very much, Josh. Now, a father has been killed and his son charged with murder in Sydney's north. 38-year-old Jakin Fitzpatrick faced court for the first time today, his own lawyer describing him as an extremely unsettled person.
In the quiet hills of Berowra, a tense exchange between father and son ended in tragedy. Police were called to a home on Keita Street just after 4 p.m. yesterday to find 69-year-old Kenneth Fitzpatrick with fatal head injuries.
He was very kind and very good man.
Oh, he's a pretty quiet guy and he pretty much kept to himself.
Injuries allegedly inflicted by his own son.
Yeah, we saw him every now and again, but not too often, no. That was a bit of a shock, yeah, didn't expect it, especially around here. It's such a quiet place.
38-year-old Jakin Fitzpatrick was arrested at the scene and taken to nearby Hornsby Police Station, where he was later charged with murder before facing court today. His lawyer telling a magistrate his client is an extremely unsettled person with a history of medical and mental health issues. Relatives of both men were also in the courtroom.
How's the family coping?
We're very sad. Detectives spent today inspecting the scene. At one point, removing this green ute from the property with damage to the driver's side door. This home remains a crime scene as police work to establish what led to such a tragic family dispute. It's unclear exactly how Mr. Fitzpatrick died, but police don't believe there was a weapon involved. His son didn't apply for bail, leaving one family missing two of their own. Taylor Ryan for 10 News First.
And if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, you can find support on a 24-hour hotline, 1-800-RESPECT, 1-800-737-732. Preschools in New South Wales have raised fears they are about to be starved of the best and brightest educators. A significant pay bump for school teachers now puts them more than $30,000 in front of what preschool teachers are paid per year for the same qualification.
Students choose teaching as a career to nurture young minds, but at graduation there's a clear divide.
We're seriously at risk of an absolute early childhood teacher desert.
Concerns there will be less incentive to work in preschools as a result of the Labor government's major boost to teacher wages.
There will be serious disparity between the early childhood sector and the teaching sector. That is only going to grow with this wages policy.
The Bachelor allows graduates to teach in a preschool or a school. Those that work in a preschool will now be $17,000 worse off than school teachers, and after 7 years' experience, they'll be $35,000 worse off.
Logically, it's much more attractive for someone who has completed a degree to step into a space that pays them better.
And with plans to roll out universal free preschool for 4-year-olds, the sector says it will be desperate for more staff.
Vacancy rates have increased significantly since COVID. We've seen, almost doubling of the number of vacancies being advertised.
While the federal government sets the award wage, the Independent Education Union will be lobbying the state government for more preschool funding so that they can lift salaries above award wages and fix the disparity. The budget will be released on September 19. At the election, Labor pledged $22 million to upskill educators and to build 100 new public preschools.
They're only committed to delivering about 20% of the preschools that we had planned. They haven't talked about what they'll do to support the workforce. There's some concern that they'll be scrapping the Early Childhood Fund.
The Education Minister was contacted for comment. Sarah Navin for 10 News First.
The Prime Minister has backed the Philippines in its territorial dispute with China over the South China Sea, agreeing to joint patrols in the region to support peace and security. Now, that has made for some tricky diplomacy after the PM met the Chinese deputy leader only yesterday.
The visit may be fleeting, but the Prime Minister has been met in Manila with fanfare from a country flirting with force in the region.